when I first started doing live shows, it was pretty scary, especially the first one or two. It was
Oh,
actually
no, I'm too scared about how you and me are going to get along, not about the
oh.
podcast.
If we get along, the show won't do good. If we fight, it will do good. That's the secret to success these days.
Okay, I'll do my best then to become feisty.
Um, I woke up this morning thinking about intimacy,
Okay.
and I was thinking about how when when we when we listen to someone and we hear what they say, we have thoughts about what they say. But if we react to our thoughts as opposed to reacting to what they said, we separate ourselves from them, and that's called some people call that being asleep or being trapped in your head. But another way to think about it is like removing yourself from intimacy. So the example that I have is I made a comment on Danielle Brandon's post a few days ago. Oh, your shirt's too big, and all of these people started piling in saying that I was sexist, right? Because they had the reaction that I was saying it because they see the world through men and women. They thought that maybe I was saying it to her because she was a woman, or that her sex had something, her vagina had something to do with my comment. When really it was just um, a discussion about clothing and how clothing fits. and so
Okay.
and so it's okay to have the reaction that it would be sexist, but once you respond to that and there's no apparent truth to it, you're now stuck in your head and you're having a conversation with yourself. So they say, oh, Sevan's being sexist, and then they say, Sevan, you're a piece of shit sexist. Now they're having the conversation with themselves because they've made something up that's not true and not apparent, and then reacted to it. And so then I've lost intimacy with them, which is okay for the internet. It's fun, sure.
But don't you
But
think you're very good in that, in creating controversy and putting in people's head a representation that you misled into making them believe in something?
say that one more time.
Don't you think you're very good in creating this kind of controversy in people's head and guiding them into thinking something that was maybe not the original goal for them to think? Like,
Yeah, yes. I'm very good at that. Through you mean like through sort of this I'm very good at that. You mean through sort of the, although that wasn't my intention with that. I'm very good at that. So through sort of this ambivalence, just like sort of like throwing things out there that I know people will bite at even if they're not there. You mean sort of like that, like creating a
well, you
mix.
misguide them to believe that. I mean, you use elements that are very good to misguide them. So,
I agree.
but
Wow, that's a very astute interview's over.
okay, but it's very early for you. I mean, it's soon my cocktail time, so we can be friends for a while.
Um, yes, boy, you should talk to my wife because or my kids because I do this with them so often. These mental gymnastics of reading into things.
Well, I know your wife. I mean, I remember. I don't know if you remember when I used to be a volunteer at the games, and your wife was around before the children,
Uh huh.
BC.
Yes,
And I remember your wife being very loving and adorable.
she's awesome. She's great. So it's just I think that through that though, that's also when you respond to your own reactions, I think it separates yourself from intimacy, and I think that I think it's just an important observation, and it makes people they can go down a portal of thinking that they're out in reality when they're not. They're now projecting something that's really themselves onto other people, and it's a double whammy. One, they've misled themselves, but two, they've lost intimacy with the person. Because I would say that because truly I didn't say her shirt was too big because she was a female. I didn't. I mean,
Look, I think that people are very sensitive nowadays, and they can take on many readings on very simple stuff, and
right.
very often, unluckily, on very serious stuff, they go for the simple answer. It's maybe one of the ambivalence of people nowadays.
Facundo, how old are you?
Old.
Yeah, old.
I'm going to be 45 in a couple of weeks.
How dare he ask him how old he is? That's so rude. And where are you right now?
I'm home in Brussels, Belgium.
That's home for you.
That is home for me for the last 19 years.
And where were you born?
I was born in Argentina, then I moved to Brazil, then back to Argentina, then I bit to Spain, back to Argentina, then I went to New York, back to Argentina, then to Germany, then to France, then to Belgium.
And did you ever live in Italy?
No, unlikely not.
But you speak Italian.
I speak Italian, yes.
And you're married?
I am married.
And where and how did you meet your wife?
I met my husband.
Sorry, your
Yeah,
husband.
in the European Parliament. We used to both of us work there. We were political advisors. I left the Parliament 2.5 years ago, and I'm still here.
Is he in the Parliament?
He works still in the Parliament, yes.
So, was he your boss?
No. At home, no.
Damn.
Not even. No, no. We work for different political parties.
Like when you say different political parties, different political people, or actually different political
Different political
ideologies?
Yes. So I was working for more like the conservative side, which doesn't represent me, but I was working there. And he's working for the Greens, for the Green Party.
Wow, I don't even know what the truth is, Facundo. I don't even know what the European Parliament is. What
So,
is the European Parliament?
they are the European Union. You might have heard. There are many countries there, and they have agreed on having a common legislative organism that will actually legislate on some of the main topics of political interaction in between countries. So that means, like in the United States, you have the Congress in Washington, but you have also state congresses like Madison, we know very well, but we've been at the games. Now, the European Parliament has powers on certain topics relating to European politics. Whether some countries or all countries have retained for them autonomy on decision on certain other elements.
And you have kids?
I have one girl, yes. Oh man, you're writing too much.
You're kind of hard to find information on. It's interesting. There's this theme about you that maybe you're a spy, but it's kind of, I've seen you around forever. You've always had a pleasant demeanor with a fabulous smile. You are always hanging around all the cool kids. And yet I never knew if you were like a coach or a manager or a Argentinian spy. I didn't know. I mean, I never even thought you were a spy until I was watching yesterday your interview with Chris and Rich and.
Okay.
What's the funny blonde girl's name?
Ellie.
Ellie. Sorry, Ellie. I was watching that, and Chris just opened up hard. Facundo, are you a spy?
I don't remember about that interview, but no, I'm not a spy. I'm very sad that you didn't think that I was an athlete.
Well, actually, when I look at pictures of you now, I'm like, I don't remember him being this buff. This CrossFit shit works.
Yeah, well, I mean, I haven't been doing that for a while. I'm just working on that. But I will tell you something. I remember very well when I first met you, and I'm sure you don't remember, but that might ring a bell. So I was working as a volunteer for the CrossFit Games 2014 for CrossFit Media. Then I was kind of junior assistant to the assistant of the producer. And you and me were at the Marriott in Manhattan Beach, the day of registration for the athletes. We were on the mezzanine leading to the first floor. And you were asking me, do you know him? Do you know her? Do you know him? Do you know her? And I know that you were halfly paying attention to what I said because you were looking for a prey for behind the scenes. And actually, I remember very well that turned out to be a very successful episode because the person that you asked me about was back then Sarah Singsmundottir coach. I don't know if you remember Eric. And then when I told
the wild guy that like yelled and got crazy, that was Eric. Was like he was wild.
He was a bit wild, yeah. He's kind of a Viking. It's a good friend of mine, though. So, but yes, it's him. And when I told you who he was, you got your camera, ran down the stairs, and you began your magic. And I think that was a very, very, very successful episode, right?
Yeah, that was, and he was great because he's not afraid to voice his opinion.
Exactly. He's a great coach and he's a good friend. So we can celebrate him today.
What's Eric doing these days? I never see him in the scene anymore.
No, Eric, I think after this, what happened in this all episodes that you are partly to blame, some people would say, regarding Sarah, he has a very successful weightlifting program. It's called Weightlifting 101. And he kept coaching and or supervising or helping many very famous athletes, including Annie or Frederick or BKG, Adrian Moonviller. So he's still around here in Europe. He's a great coach, and he's wild as ever before.
Good. You said that that I might be to blame. You mean just because of the behind the scenes, what it showed may have led to him being ostracized from the.
Well, you're a great producer, Sevan. I think that was, maybe one of the outcomes that you believe the behind the scenes could give, right?
Not to get him fired.
No, not fired. I don't think he was fired either. Eh?
Or to get him ostracized. That was not my intention. But if someone's if someone has strong opinions, it definitely makes for good video.
Okay. Did you ever do an interview behind the scenes where you purposefully said, "I'm going to get this guy and get him fired"?
No.
Okay.
No.
Good.
But I would do a purposely behind the scenes where, oh my God, that guy looks really cool. I'm going to use my camera as a tool to just get to know him.
Okay.
I would abuse my power in that way, or I would be like, I'm intimidated by, I don't know, Michelle Kinney, even though I know I should talk to her, but Travis Meyer doesn't intimidate me, so I'll go talk to him, and I will kowtow to the easier interview.
Do you ever regret having done an interview?
Not doing one?
No, having done one. Like say, oh man, that was so bad. I regret having given this person some exposure, popularity, or that he or she behaved very badly. So I wish I could erase this.
No, not at all. Not at all. But I do regret the not interviewing people. All the times I let my fear get the better of me. Every single person that has benefited from the behind the scenes, I'm super duper duper happy. There was there's the maybe the only thing that I ever filmed that maybe I wish I wouldn't have filmed that got shown to the public is in one of the behind the scenes, and I think it's in the documentary also, there's Benny Garrard hands Ricky Garrard a little vial. It's like a little glass tube tape around the top. And I filmed that, and that's one of those things like you were actually talking about before that's like it's too much. It's like I'm making an implication by putting that in the shot that I really have fucking no business making that implication. I have no idea if the guy's on anything or not.
Okay. Right? But I'm happy that you talk about your fears. It's not something you seem to do very often, right?
No, I do. I'm terrified. Yeah, one of the themes of just my podcast is that I don't like doing. I'm terrified of strangers.
Okay.
I'm just terrified of strangers. But it's kind of like, do you compete in anything, Facundo?
No. No. I don't have that mindset.
Is it scary, the thought of competing?
No, not at all. It's just that I don't think that I will want to involve myself in something that I'm really not good at. And it's going to be a waste of time because, the outcome is not going to be what I would like it to be. And, I work, not a workout. I work, nice lapsus. I work with people that are very, very fit. And when I see what they put at stake, how they compromise, the responsibility they take, I'm realizing that I'm not built for that. So, no.
My kids have started doing jiu-jitsu tournaments. And my son told me that before he goes out on the mat, he shakes. And then I said, that's intense. And he said, yeah. And I said, how do you compete if you're shaking? He said, oh, well, when you step out onto the mat and start wrestling with the other kids, it goes away. And I was thinking to myself, oh, in my head, I'm thinking this, that must be the fight or flight syndrome. It's like before you do public speaking and you want to flee, but you have to overcome that and parlay that into fight, right? And I get that before the podcast. Like when I text you the link, like the whole time right before I text anyone the link, like I text you the link this morning, I'm terrified. I'm like, oh God.
I understand that.
If I send this, there's no coming back. There's no coming back. We're going to do the show.
Did you ever cancel a podcast last minute because of stress or because something that you felt like you didn't want to do it?
But
Okay.
I do literally have the feeling like I want to go outside and like run. Fuck
Okay.
it, Facundo will do this show by himself. I'll hit the live button and I'll run all
Well,
day.
since I know that you're a bit scared, I'll be nice. But I know the feeling. I used to do seminars. I mean, I did with I think 30 seminars with Dave Durant through the world, and then with Hinshaw, we did kind of 50 seminars together. And just before starting the seminar, I was like, oh man, I really don't want to be here again. I just want to go home. And I need to be very organized. And Hinshaw is a guy that, because to and start with a different part, and I needed my structure, and I was like, oh, yeah. But well, good to know that you are very human then.
Oh, yeah. But we have to face our fears kind of. It's kind of the only thing that makes us feel alive.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with
Except
you.
you have a except you have a daughter, so you're cheating. I have
I have
kids
a
too.
daughter, but I have a German Shepherd who helps me a lot with my fear, especially when I'm on the street with foreigners, because he's so big that people are scared of him, and they prefer to cross the street when they see him coming.
Um, when did your life intersect with CrossFit? What are the origins of that?
So back in the days of Facebook, I had a friend in Washington, and he was every day posting, "Oh, today in the box, I was doing, I don't know, 15 HSPU, and then I do 21 SDPH, and then one RM snatch." And it was so annoying because he was putting every single day his full workout and his result. And one day I said to him, "Hey, bro, what are you talking about? What is all of this?" "Oh man, you have to see it. This is CrossFit. It's the new thing. You need to do it." And I thought it was an American thing, like will come and will go in a couple of months. He said to me, you have to try he sent me the affiliates map. There was one like 5K, like 3 miles from where I am. I went there, and I don't know why, because actually I'm not a super fit guy, or I don't like sports so much, but I really liked it a lot. And so I got addicted to that. A couple of years later, one of the guys working there offered me to become a partner on a new box he was opening. So I put some money there, and we opened a box, and that was my first, how I get introduced into the sport of fitness.
What year was that?
That was 2012. So when I started CrossFit 2010, 2012, we opened our box, CrossFit Power Factory.
And do you still own that box?
No, I sold my shares a couple of years ago.
And what country was that?
In Belgium. We used to have 4 boxes. Then they kept the big one, and they're still there.
Oh, you personally were involved in the ownership of 4.
I was not. I mean, I helped building that box, and and then I learned a little bit of coaching, and it was in the times where you remember this CrossFit seminars, endurance, kettlebell, weightlifting, 1, 2, whatever, and I could afford to go as often as I could. So I was spending maybe 3 weekends out of the 4 weekend of the month in a seminar, and so I started like that.
So when you go to your first box in 2012, and you said you weren't like you weren't into working out or sports before then?
No. I will go to the global gym maybe to get some biceps and some chest, but no more than that.
And what do you think you liked about it?
I think that a little bit the unknown, well, now I used to go with my iPod or Walkman, I don't know what were back then, and it was all at my pace. So I chat with someone, do some curls, go back. There it was like, hey, it lasts 1 hour and you get a full session, a full workout, and it was great. I loved it. It was 2010 when I started.
I think one of the things I liked about CrossFit is that I was so bad at sports, and I was so bad. Like I had the weakest bench of my friends. I had the fewest pull-ups. I couldn't do pull-ups. When we did the presidential test in high school, I had to do it with the girls, where you hang. Sexist. And then I found CrossFit, and there was some shit I was good at. I was like, am I like, I can do that, and someone else can't do what I can do, and I think that kind of scratched gave me like a little bit of motivation.
Self-confidence.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, like holy shit, like come out of your shell. It's okay. And then of course just since, and I'm speaking for you too, correct me if I'm wrong, since we didn't spend our youth in our bodies like a lot of other kids, when we finally started working out and we got into our bodies, we're like, holy shit, this is crazy. Like I used to avoid sweating like the plague. I hated sweating. Did you ever hate sweating?
I still do.
Oh,
I still do. Yeah,
are you gonna make it through that? Are you gonna change that, or do you have any interest in it? Because I used to hate sweating, and now I'm just like, yeah, sweating's a shit.
there was a time, so that was at the beginning. Then I do CrossFit. I did two competitions as a team. I was kind of decent in gymnastics, and yeah, so I did a couple of. I loved it, but then all the training. When I started CrossFit, I was still working in the Parliament. I was doing a master at the same time, a late master in my career that was nothing to do with sport, and it was very little time, and then I couldn't train so much. But I go to Cookieville very often, and then sometimes I train with my friend Ellie in the morning, M30. But yeah, I'm happy where I am now. I would like to have more fitness in my life. But it's getting very busy lately, so I need to make an effort to find additional time.
Why did you volunteer for the CrossFit Games in 2000? What did you say? Was it 14?
14. So the true story is that in 2013, there was invitationals in Berlin. Remember, USA versus the world?
Okay.
And because I pulled some strings and I got some VIP tickets for me and my friends, stating that I was working in the Parliament. So they put me on the VIP area, and I was sitting next to Hillary Froning back then. It's still today, but back then I was sitting next to her. And I arrived super early. I was very, very excited. I met Tim Chan. And then Justin Berg came and said, "Oh, what are you doing?" We talked a little bit, and he asked me, "How many languages did I speak?" And I said, "Well, I speak German. I was raised in Germany. I speak French. I speak English, Italian, Spanish. None of them well, but I do speak some languages." And then we said goodbye. And like 3 minutes before the broadcast would start, he called me and said, "Hey, Facundo, I have a problem. We are broadcasting." It was Eurosport back then. And we have Mike Roth, so an American director, a French producer, and cameramen that don't understand anything but German. So the broadcast track was a bit of a chaos. "Can you come and help us? You will miss the show." And I said, "Yeah, sure, I come and help." I was there. I remember the French producer, a lady, and she was asking, "What is thruster? A big movement, small movement, big camera?" And I was like, "Big movement, you camera out." So I started there, and then I wanted more. So I volunteered for the CrossFit Games 2014. First to the regionals, I met Rory McKernan, my very, very good friend. We worked together, and then he invited me to be a volunteer for his team, the media team, 2014 at the Games.
When you did that, when Justin came over and asked you to do that to help with the translation at the Berlin Invitational, were you like, "Oh man, this sucks, I want to stay in my seat and enjoy it," or were you like, "Oh, this is awesome, I'm getting put into the belly of the beast"? You did.
I loved it. I mean, I've never seen a more violent place like a broadcast truck. It's a lot of shouting, a lot of cursing, a lot of I don't know if you've ever been there doing a broadcast. It's really nasty. But I loved it somehow, and a couple of weeks later, I got an email from Justin Berg and a girl that used to work in CrossFit, asking me whether I wanted to write for CrossFit as an athlete scout. So if you hear about any athlete in Europe, remember back in the day, CrossFit had articles on athletes and profiles, and so they hired me for 25 articles, which I wrote. I do write a little bit better than I speak English, so it was kind of okay. And I did that, and then I was very lucky to get more responsibilities from CrossFit and work in the media department for regionals and the Games till 2018, where everybody got fired.
I would see you everywhere, and it's funny. I had no idea. I just assumed I had no idea you worked for CrossFit. We both work for the same company. I just assumed that you were somehow affiliated directly with the athletes. I just made that assumption.
I remember that I was taking quotes from the athletes for the broadcast, and you would come with your camera and say, "Can I steal your quote?"
Oh, good.
We did it a couple of times, and I don't have any hard feelings about that. So
I was always nice to you.
You were always nice to me, yeah. But your wife was very nice to me, I remember.
No, I was even more nice to you.
I don't know. It depends on the subjective.
My wife is very cool. Hey, a broadcast truck, a very important place not to read into what people are saying because there's a lot of nasty immediate things being. Don't
I
tell
learned so many words there. I learned, my English came from school and from university. So this wording I have never heard before.
So you go into I want to try to connect this leap of
Yeah.
how you work with two of the most amazing human movement experts that I know of on planet Earth today, Hinshaw and Durante. Am I pronouncing this Durante or Durante?
De Durante in
Durante.
Italian.
Yeah, two guys who've always been exceedingly open and generous with their smiles and time with me, and who I respect immensely. How did you go from being this guy who didn't exercise, who didn't like sweating? So I'm gonna try to connect this dot. So you start working out in CrossFit, and do you start not only enjoying working out but watching other people work out? Is that how you become a coach? You're like, oh man,
Yes.
watching humans move is amazing.
Well, yes, I did that a little bit, but then during 2014 at the games, I have I was serving coffee to all of you, to all the media team, coming with a coffee tray as a volunteer, as a happy volunteer. And during one of the pauses, I went to the vendors village, and I met Dave Durante there. He was walking around, and I jumped on him. Hey man, I'm your biggest fan. Poor Dave. I was like, oh God, I'm still ashamed about that. And then I told him, when you come to Europe, you need to come to Europe. And he answered to me, look, I'm coming to Europe in a couple of weeks. I'm going to give 2 back-to-back seminars during the weekend in Amsterdam. And just like that, I said to him, you know what? Amsterdam is 2 hours away from my place. I pick you up from there. You come and spend the week at my place in Belgium. And on the weekend, I bring you back to Amsterdam. And then he said, okay, let's do that. Just like that. So, yeah.
This is just in passing as you're going by with like coffees for someone else?
Well, I was in my break, so I wasn't carrying coffee back then, but yes, I was with my volunteer T-shirt, very happy.
And were these European Parliament skills you were honing? Is this how you shuck and jive and like in the Parliament too, like just make?
No. That's a complete different thing.
Okay.
With Dave Durante, I was a groupie. We are very good friends. He's one of my best friends, and I still struggle to tell him, because of the friendship, how much I admire him and how great he is. Because when you have a great friend, it's very difficult to tell him, hey bro, I admire you so much. So Dave came to Brussels. We spent a week together. We worked a little bit together on certain movements, and I brought him back to Amsterdam. He gave the seminar, and a couple of weeks later he texted me and said, hey, you know what, I think you're very okay in gymnastics. I'm doing a new course at CrossFit Gymnastic Advanced. Would you like to be my assistant?
No shit.
And I was like, yes. Like I said yes, and then whatever, I started shouting.
You were scared too, right? You were scared. You started shaking.
Yeah, I don't shake, but I get very excited. And then he said to me, yeah, well, that's great. Let's meet a couple of weeks later in somewhere in the UK. I took my train, and I spent hours doing hollows and rocks. And all the things that I know he will ask me to help with. So I was his demo boy. I was Durante's demo boy maybe for 15 seminars.
Holy shit!
I know. I was hanging from rings and rigs for hours while he was showing human movement. We are still great friends. He's great. I saw him 2 weeks ago in Power Monkey. I was very lucky that he invited me again. And I see him teaching, and I'm still surprised on how extraordinary he is as a coach, and especially as a human being.
So you basically took this crash course. Had you taken your L1, like basically you do 15 seminars with them, and it's like you're just being just crushed with information. You're trying to absorb it all in.
Yeah, I was doing my best. I mean, it was too much information, but I was doing my best to keep up.
Had you taken your L1, or have you taken your L1 at this point?
Yeah, I had my level 2 back then. Remember the coaches prep course?
Yeah, that's some scary shit too.
Yeah, well, I did it with all the people from the U. I mean, it was a great group of coaches that were there, and yeah, it was scary when you have to face everybody with your workout, and all the coaches were like, "Why you do that? Why would you do that too? And what do you want to?" So I did that before having the chance to work with Dave.
Going back to your friend it was Washington D.C. who introduced you to
Washington,
CrossFit, right?
it was Washington, no, it was Seattle, state of Washington.
Oh, no shit. Okay, I just made the jump from European Parliament to
Yeah.
Washington D.C. Okay, is that person still doing CrossFit?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, I don't have Facebook anymore, but I think he does.
What
Yeah.
happened to your Facebook?
Oh, I prefer Instagram. I think
Yeah.
it's easier.
I kind of miss. I don't do Facebook either. I missed the whole Facebook thing when people started doing it. I don't know why I never did it, but then Instagram came and I just jumped on board. I don't do Twitter either.
You have a couple of accounts in Instagram, no?
On Instagram, I have a shitload of accounts. I have one
Yeah,
account no one can see. They shadow ban me.
yeah. I remember that you used to follow me, and you defollow me, and I was very hurt back then.
Unacceptable. Well, okay. So how long ago was that?
Or maybe 4 years ago, 5 years ago.
I don't recall, but twice I've unfollowed everyone in my account, including my mom.
Okay, well, I will be
Does that
happy
make
to.
you feel better?
Yeah, completely. I can take that. I can take that.
I even
Yeah.
unfollowed my wife, and the reason why is the first time I did it because my feed had gotten so clogged. I said, okay, I'm just going to unfollow everyone and kind of reset how I get my information.
Okay.
And
If
then
you
this,
have to, yeah, sorry. If
go,
you
no,
have
no,
to
you go ahead.
unfollow someone, would you unfollow Matt Fraser or Josh Bridges?
If I had to unfollow one,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't even know if I follow Matt Fraser, to tell you the truth.
Well,
Let me
would you
see.
follow both of them? Who would you be easy for you to unfollow?
I would unfollow Matt Fraser.
Why?
Because I'm just not as close with him. I've texted him 20 times in the last 3 months, and he hasn't responded to one of my texts. I'm trying to do another goddamn podcast with him and Josh, and Matt's too busy. So I have
You
to.
think he's upset with you?
I think I'm gonna. You've inspired me. I think I'm gonna unfollow him right when the show's done, just to.
I think he has 2.5 million followers. I'm not sure he's going to realize.
He's not gonna notice.
Yeah, you know. But so on this podcast, do you feel that it's friendship, or there's three guys talking and you guiding them into saying things that people would like to hear?
I was texting with Matt one afternoon, out of the blue, and I didn't text with him very often. I wouldn't even say we were friends. We were just acquaintances. I could see myself texting with you like this afterwards. After this podcast, like you walking down the street with your daughter and your daughter jumping into a puddle and you sending me a picture. Just because
Yeah.
like, this interaction we've had, and I'd be like, oh my god, that's so crazy or so cool because I like kids too, and so. It was something like that. We were just talking, texting one night. And we text for like 30 minutes. In the 7 years I've known him, that's the most I'd ever text with Matt. And at the end of the text, towards the end, I go, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we just had a 10-minute to 60-minute conversation once a week and we just put it on as a podcast, just a casual conversation? And he stopped texting me when I said that. And I'm like, shit, like I went too far. Like I leaned over to kiss the girl and she told me, what are you doing? We're just friends. You know what I mean? So, and then the next morning I see a text come in from him. He says, that's a great idea. Let's do it. So then I was like, oh shit. Okay. So then I was like, I think I text Josh Bridges, who I was better friends with, who I actually like maybe talked to on the phone once every 4 months. I said, hey, Matt's going to jump on a call with me. Do you know Matt? And he said, yeah, what's funny is I've just started texting with Matt recently. I said, okay. So then I got us all in one text thread. I said, do you guys want to do this once a week? And they said, sure. And I was like, wow, this is fucking really cool. And it's kind of the reason why I started this podcast, because I was like, hey, I'm going to get so much attention. And I don't know why I was doing it, Facundo. I'm sort of just, I'm like Forrest Gump. We'll just go off in a direction.
I don't believe you. This is the first time that I think that you're lying to me, but it's fine. I'll let it go.
And so when I played Frisbee, they used to call me the Labrador, because someone would throw the Frisbee and it would seem like it was uncatchable, but I would still chase it as hard as I could. It didn't matter. It didn't matter to me. So I thought, oh shit, this is going to bring a lot of eyeballs to me and my account. And I should figure out a way to make the best of this opportunity. Like I shouldn't let this slide by. I should make sure I use the clout or the attention or the spotlight that Matt's going to help and Josh is going to help bring to me to turn into something else. And then at the same time, Matt Souza, the owner of CrossFit Livermore, I've told the story a bunch of times. He said, "Hey, your CrossFit podcast helped me so much. I want you to start another podcast. I want to pay it forward to you. I'll help you start it. I'll give you one of my employees to help you run it." And I said, "No." And my wife said, "Hey, what are you doing? The universe is conspiring to help you and tell you to start a podcast, and get off your fucking ass and do it. It's what you love doing." So I said, "Okay." And so those things just kind of collided. To answer your question, I don't really know what's going on in that podcast when I'm with those guys. I'm very sensitive to them.
Oh,
I'm very sensitive to them because I don't want to necessarily. I want to keep it real, but I don't want to drag them into things that they're not willing to go into. And to topic. Yes, very very much so. Very much so.
okay.
Do you have a different opinion on that? Because I walk the line. So I walk the line with them. I don't want to say anything that's going to affect Matt's podium sales, Josh's good dude sales. I don't want to make them polarizing characters.
I understand. I think that I don't think that your role is so passive, though. It's not. I think that you have a very, very big responsibility, and you are the one setting the tone. This conversation started with you and me with intimacy, and actually we're talking about your fears, we're talking about your sensitive part. So I think that you're very good in that podcast to set a tone, and then once that's done, you take your space and let the boys do the job.
Yeah, and maybe like I would talk about, like I would ask you, if I wanted to start talking about something intimate with you, Facundo, I would say, "Hey, do you and your husband, when you travel, share a toothbrush?" Because it's a pretty strong question that might make people uncomfortable, but it's not as strong as something like, "Hey, what are your thoughts on the vaccine?" I mean, do you know what I mean? So
You like the second one. You like the second one, though.
the vaccine one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that one, but I wouldn't do that to Josh or Matt because I don't. If they wanted to go there, that would be great, but I don't want to put them in that situation. I feel like that's I don't know what that is. Maybe it's just I don't want to lose them. You know what I mean? I don't want Matt or Josh to be like, "Hey, I'm not going to interact with Sevan because he believes the Earth is flat," and that makes him. I don't believe the Earth is flat.
So you're telling me that any other person whom you ask about vaccination, you don't care about losing, but then you don't ask about it because you don't ask about that denotes that you are scared of losing them.
Maybe you could say that. I don't know if I can. Maybe you can say that, or maybe it's not necessary. It's based on the premise of what our relationship is about. Do you know what I mean? So you and I just have this one interaction. I'm not making a whole show with you, right? I'm not making a whole series of shows with you, although we might. Shit, this is going pretty good. I'm always looking for a crutch. I really want like a co-host or a sidekick because it would really alleviate a lot of my fears.
Well, I am very upset that Brian is not here though, because he's a good friend of mine.
Is Brian a good friend of yours?
Yeah. Well, I want to believe so. I want to believe so. I don't know. I want to believe so.
What do you think happened? Brian was like on every show for so long. Oh, speaking of reading into, Brian was recently accused of being sexist.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah.
Because he compared Matt Fraser to Tia Toomey, and people were saying that had the reaction that they believed Tia was obviously better, so to compare them was not being able to accept a woman was better. I mean, this is just delusions of grandeur, in my opinion. But which is okay to have delusions of grandeur, but then to react to them as if they're reality, now you've embodied the delusion.
Yeah, I mean, I know Brian quite well, and I think that was not his goal. And he's a super clever guy. He works very hard, and I'm slightly sad that he's not around for this podcast.
He was invited. It's his fault. Maybe he doesn't like you, Facundo.
Oh, that would be very sad. But I think he does because I like him too, and we chit chat from time to time.
He loves you to death. He really everything CrossFit. He is pretty he's pretty stoked on. He likes you a lot. I think we were doing a lot of podcasts together. I think he got a little bit stressed out. I want to say it's not because of me. I want to say it's because of his schedule. That's what I keep telling myself. Um, he came on the show a couple nights ago for like 20 minutes. I think we have a show tomorrow morning with Pat Vellner. I think he's going to be on.
I understand. If I have to choose between Facundo and Pat Vellner, I will also choose Pat Vellner.
He's
But
told me he can't do shows ever on Thursday, but I told him, I mean, I texted him last night. I said, I'm going on with Facundo. Please come on. And he said, I can't on Thursdays. I have a busy schedule. He's also 2 hours ahead of me, so he's probably at work right now.
I know. I texted him asking whether he was going to be around. He says he's coaching. So yeah. But yeah. So
Let's go back to Dave Durante.
Okay.
So you're doing the you're doing the Power Monkey. Does it seem a little out of place? Are you like, wow, why did he choose me? Like I've only been doing CrossFit for
Completely. Power Monkey is without any doubt the single most incredible group of coaches in the world. They are like many Olympians, medalists, the most knowledgeable people that I know brought together. It's extraordinary. I was like, but anyway, same as CrossFit. When I started in Power Monkey, I went as a camper, then as a volunteer, then as a staff member, then as an assistant coach, then as a lead coach. So I went through every single station that was to be offered there, and it was great. It's just
you're
amazing.
now a lead coach with Power Monkey.
I used to run with Hinshaw the endurance station.
The what station?
Endurance, the aerobic capacity station. That we have a Power Monkey at different stations, clean and jerk, snatch, a lot of them. And there was the Hinshaw station called the endurance station, and I was the lead there. I did that for 5 camps or 4 camps. And then with COVID came, I couldn't travel to the States last year. And I was invited like 2 weeks ago. I took our new athlete, Guy Maleiros, to Mayhem. And, Power Monkey is just 30 minutes away from Mayhem. So we spent 2 days there.
Power Monkey is actually a place.
Power Monkey it's a gymnastic, a professional gymnastic space or compound, I don't know, facility owned by 2 Olympians, in which there are different, seminars or camps throughout the year. Fit Fest is the most famous. It's in Crossville. Yet again, like 40, maybe less, 30, 40 miles from CrossFit Mayhem.
That's crazy. I had no idea. So are Durante and Rich close? Does Durante live there?
No, Durante lives in Portland now, in the other coast. He used to be in New York, and now he lives there. But he goes to Power Monkey twice a year, and then he's also coaching Fit Fest. And Fit Fest is kind of a gymnastic festival in which people like Simone Biles used to go. So it's a almost professional, I think, camp taking place 2 or 3 times a year. It's amazing. You should. Yeah, sorry.
No, go ahead. Say what you're gonna say.
You should send your children there. It's amazing.
When and where is it?
I will find that out and I'll let you know.
Okay. See, guys, if I had a producer who is live on every show, you could have pulled that up right now. I'm looking for someone who will work for free, who will just be so enamored and so thankful to have my attention and work on my show that they would be behind the scenes right now. And every time, like when you would say that Fit Fest, they would just, make our boxes small and pull up a new box. But
yeah, well,
I'm not drawing that kind of talent or.
What would that person get from you?
Or attention, just some love, some some time, some abuse, some intimacy.
Okay.
Some open-ended comments that draw out their deeper self.
It is the word of the day for you, intimacy, right?
It is
what happened? The word of today. It seems that intimacy is the word of the day. You've been saying intimacy over and over today.
Because I normally refer to. So I have this issue with people reading into things, but then I thought, that's not exactly accurate. I don't mind people reading into things. I see Facundo has sharp teeth and he has blood on his shirt. Okay, he might be a vampire. Like that's reading into things. It's the then reacting to the analysis as if it's true. So I was thinking about that today. How can I explain that to people better? Because and I thought, I always call it being trapped in your head or being asleep or being delusional. I thought, oh, maybe I'll recouch it or reframe it as not being present in the form of being intimate with people, right? Like you're now having a conversation with yourself and you lost intimacy. So somehow it popped in my head in the shower today, while I was having my own intimate moment, soaping my back and my face. And
Well,
go ahead.
Psychologists will call it unconscious, no?
Yeah, that's a very common term used also for it.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you say these words like, "Hey, you're asleep, you're unconscious," then people will wake up for a split second, say, "No, I'm not," and then they go back to.
Okay. Do you have a recurrent dream? Do you have a dream that you dream often throughout the year or since your childhood or anything? You don't?
No, sir. Do you?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Is there an implication to that? Tell me more. Let's say I said yes. Then what do you say?
Well, I did 5 psychoanalysis and astrology for 5-6 years. I had a dream since I was a child that all my teeth would break and they will become sand.
Yes, I used to have that as a child.
No, you cannot steal my dream. You need to have your own dream. I asked you.
Swear to God.
You have your chance, and you said I don't have any. So now
I
you're going to beat it.
I don't have it anymore.
I don't have it anymore. Funny, I don't have it anymore either. I told you I think that I had it till I was 30, 35, but I had it very, very often that my teeth would break, become sand, and I would go to the mirror and I see like, man, there's no teeth anymore. That's one of my bad dreams.
It's horrible. It's horrible.
Yeah. And the other dream, hopefully you didn't have that one, is that I'm seeing when people are burglaring into my place, when I'm going to break in the door to come in to steal.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. These are my two dreams.
Did you ever have the one when you were a kid that you go to school naked? I used to have that one as a little kid.
No, that wouldn't be a problem for me.
Oh, it fucking sucked. It sucked. I would go to school and I would be there naked. I was just like, what the fuck? Why did my parents dress me?
But of course, you mentioned over and over you have problems with intimacy. So why would it not be naked in front of all your children will be fine? Is the definition of the non-intimacy.
I didn't say I have problems with intimacy. What are you talking about?
No. I didn't say you have. I said that we've been talking about intimacy, and now you bring up a dream that is the opposite of intimacy, right? You're exposed. Yes. You're exposed naked to the most cruel people in the world. There are children. Children tend to be very cruel at that age, right?
Yeah.
So.
And I think I got made fun of. People were very nice to me, but it was a tough crowd. But I always liked school. Did you like school?
No.
No.
I mean, I left school when I was 14, and then I came back to school. But I left it for 2 years. 14, 15, I studied music back then. And, if you go to a conservatory, you are not requested to go to high school. You can do that. And then it was not meant to be. So I went back to school, finished. And then, yeah.
Why didn't you like school? Did you have friends there? Like, I love going there to see my friends.
No, I was not very popular back then. I want to think so. I don't remember. Maybe it was something else. I don't think I was a very popular boy. And we moved so much that, I didn't have real friends because, as I mentioned before, I was coming back from another country, put into a school, then change again to another school. My family would move a lot. So we were changing school maybe 2-3 times a year. So I never was able to have a lot of friends. I did have some friends, but I was not like the popular boy.
Did you go to school to see your friends?
No.
Oh, you didn't? Oh, because that's why I went to school. That's the only reason why I went. I just went to see my friends. Like,
I was obliged to go. If I would have chosen between staying home and going to see my friends, I would have stayed home.
Yeah. So tell me, what's the dream mean with your teeth falling out? What's the deal?
I really don't know. It might be something about speaking or have the capacity to communicate, which is not, aligned into what teeth are for. But I don't know. I really, there was I couldn't say. I don't want to say something that I'm going to regret later. But I guess in my case, something related to being unable to speak properly or to, express myself, or make the points that I would like to make. And I don't know why. Environment, my own perception of myself and what I want to say, whether I didn't dare to do so. And when I wanted, I wasn't able anymore. But I think that changed. And funny enough, same as you, when I got to a certain age, that dreams disappear. So maybe with age, we have more clear ideas on how to express ourselves and how to get along the way we intend to.
Do you have any enemies?
Oh, I guess I do.
You do?
Yeah, I guess a couple, not many.
Yeah.
Not many. I like to believe that I have very good friends, and I like to spend most of my time with them. And my family, of course, but outside of my family, with my good friends.
I guess by enemies, I mean, when I speak to you, like, I don't know I've never heard, I said the same thing to Hinshaw. I can't think of anyone who's ever said anything bad about you. You're very loved in the circles that, and that you and I used to roll in. And, although I think the CrossFit community as a whole is pretty darn close as far as communities go, it doesn't mean that everyone gets along. There's some cats and dogs in there that that fight.
Do you regret having met anybody in the CrossFit world that said, "Oh man, I spent years with this person and I didn't get anything out of it, and I regret having this friendship or that friendship"?
No, maybe the exact opposite. I'm so proud of myself that I worked on myself in order to accept those around me that maybe I wouldn't have accepted if I otherwise wouldn't have worked on myself.
Okay, so you did it out of generosity.
No. I used it. No, I'm too selfish for that. I used it. I leveraged it to make myself a better person instead of blaming them. Like CrossFit really taught me personal responsibility. Up until the age of 34, I was basically I avoided basically discomfort at all costs. I was raised that way. Take the path of least resistance. Don't ruffle any feathers. Don't offend anyone. Don't sweat. Don't and then something happened, and maybe it was my L1, or maybe, but basically I realized in a nutshell, it's become one of my foundations, is that controlled suffering is and you don't have to use that word suffering, or I don't have to use that word, controlled discomfort, or pushing the body into the pain cave, whether it's psychologically, emotionally, or intellectually, or physically, is where growth occurs. And so you should do it as often as you can, especially if you can control the safety of it. I was never afraid emotionally. I remember being a little kid and really enjoyed exploring my emotions, like really, really. And I really I was perfectly, when girls would break up with me, or my friends maybe would stop being my friends, and I would cry and I would suffer like that. I was fascinated by that as a kid. I was always watching myself emotionally, being like, wow, this is fucking a trip. I just watched a movie and the dolphin died, and now I'm sitting here wailing in the movie theater. I was just fascinated by that.
Which character in which movie do you think describes you the best? So if it's just a movie and you see this people, not that you want to be someone that you said, okay, hey man, that person is my life. I mean, this is my life.
Forrest Gump, I told you, Gump. I'm fucking Forrest Gump. I am dumb as a box of rocks, and I just go. I trust. I'm not a religious man, but there is I don't even know if this is true, but there's a scene, I guess, in the Bible where Jesus tells the apostles, he says, and someone will correct me, he says, when they call you, when the kings call you to speak about me, and speak about, and they're trying to persecute you, don't prepare your defense. Just open your mouth and let God speak through you. And I always was like, yes, that's awesome. Like that resonated with me. Like, okay, I get it. I get what he's saying. Do you have a character for me? Do you want to give me a character in a movie?
No, I don't know you enough.
Maybe Benji. Do you know
Benji? No. I think that you are too intellectually clever to be Forrest Gump. Maybe some traits of Forrest Gump personality might suit you, or maybe you want to believe so. I think that Forrest was pure emotion, with very little rationality to it. Like the intellect was not there, but his decisions were maybe the good ones because he trusted his emotion and his good willness, and that worked for him.
Did you like that movie?
I liked it very much when I saw it for the first time in the 90s, 91, 92. Then I saw it on a plane some months ago, and I cried my eyes out, and I didn't like it anymore because there was people next to me awake, and they were like looking at me, it's like that's weird. So I felt a bit uncomfortable, but I like the movie. It's a great movie. Yeah.
You mentioned being friends with David Durante and it being weird because you're friends with him and yet you still admire him on such a crazy high level, and it's like you just I think I understand that, and I struggle with the same thing too. But you've surrounded yourself with people like that. I don't think people who haven't met Rich or haven't been around Rich realize. Do you have that same issue with Rich?
Well, it's weird. Rich is one of my best friends. Rich and Hillary, like really best friend. We have a lot of intimacy, but we trust each other a lot, and we speak about a lot of topics. And yes, for me, it's very complicated to also because Rich doesn't like to get emotional, and so it's very hard for me to find a moment to tell him, "Hey, I love you as a brother, as a friend, but I admire you so much that I will actually bend to make a reverence when you perform, because I think that he's the finest CrossFitter who ever lived." And and no, but I don't do that. I would like to find sometimes a moment to do so.
Yeah, and you are because there's a lot of great people out there, but there is definitely something very unique about Rich. I remember having this feeling about him when I met him, that he seems so like such a good person. 9 out of 10 people you would see walk out of a brothel, you would say, "Oh shit, look at that guy was in there sleeping with women." But Rich is so pure that if you saw him walk out of a brothel, you would think that he was in there saving someone.
Yeah.
Like that would be your first judgment about him. I mean, the guy, like, shit can't stick to the guy. I mean, he's that fucking cool.
He's a great person. I mean, I owe him to Dave, of course, to Rory, and to reach what I am now. I mean, he's a great person, and I always like to say when we do a seminar, when somebody comes to the box, I said, like, guys, you know him as a champion in the sport. I think as a friend, as a person, he's a champion. He has the highest ethical values and loyalty and friendship and care for himself, his family, his environment, and I'm very proud of being a friend of him.
And so you have this whole pantheon. You have this whole. I mean, going through your Instagram, it's like nuts who you know. It's like you've surrounded yourself with these people that it is. It would be hard not to feel that way about all of them. I mean, it is really. It's almost like you curated this. But I don't believe you have. I think it's all just by. I think it's all. I think you've attracted these people. I don't think you seek these people out, and yet you're surrounded by all of these amazing people. And so I just wonder, like, is that something like, are you like always biting your tongue? Okay, don't say something super nice about Katrin right now. Don't say something super nice about Guy right now. Oh God, I have to keep my mouth shut. I'm just going to be just.
No. No, certainly not. If you know me well, you will realize that I can be very critical, and despite I can, be critical to someone as an athlete, I'm not judging them as a person or their values or whatever they are. I mean, I can say, well, he or she's very bad doing this, and I would expect that people to take it like it's just that, right? But I'm very lucky to be surrounded by great. For me, honestly, they are great friends, and then they are great athletes and well known to the people. But many of the people that you see in my Instagrams, they are very good friends. I love to be in Cookville. I mean, Haley is a great friend of mine. Tasha, now Guy's there. Luke, Rich. I feel home there. I really feel home.
How did you end up with you said you're married to a man?
Yeah, I said that.
How do you end up with a daughter? How do two men get a daughter?
Surrogacy.
Through what?
Surrogacy.
Oh, so can you tell me about that? Like how that works? Like, did you know the woman? Like, how do you pick a mom?
So you don't pick a mom because they are not a mom, and they are just people. There's a woman who donates like her eggs, and we mix that with our own genetical information. We make embryos, and we put that on another woman who is a surrogate.
So there's two women involved. One, it's the
Yeah,
genetics, and one is the birthing vessel,
yeah,
the womb.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah. So that's why you have a child. That's we have a child at least.
And how do they have your semen and they have your egg, and where do they mix them?
You should ask for a doctor. I mean, I don't know. No, I mean,
Do they mix them in her, or are they mixed already
no, 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 no.
before they put it in her?
They mix the embryos in vitro, and then they will transfer that to the surrogate already, the embryo, like 5-day old embryo.
Wow, fascinating. And you have a beautiful, healthy daughter.
I have a beautiful, very beautiful, happy, healthy daughter. Yeah.
Yeah, crazy. And so does the woman who's holding the baby, does she when she has the baby and the baby's growing inside of her, have you ever met this woman before this relationship
Oh
starts?
yeah, completely. I mean, the surrogate chooses the parents, and as much as the parents chooses the surrogate. So we've been talking before getting to agreement of surrogacy. We've been talking up and down, and when Greta was born, my daughter, we stayed with her. Her name is Renee. She's part of our family, actually. To my daughter, she's like an aunt who was loving enough as to carry her in her vessel, as you said, for 9 months, and it was beautiful. It was a beautiful experience. It was great, and yeah, I don't know what else. Do you want to know? Because I know that it's the first time that somebody ever asked me that openly. I mean, fun enough that you're making a podcast. I see only 2 people online. I don't know if it's just you or Matthew, but
No, Matt's gone. Matt's gone. If Matt's gone. If he was on here, you would see but we are live.
okay, yeah. So we don't know. Okay, anyway, so it's funny. It's fun. So that was our experience, and it was great. And yeah, we were very, very blessed to have a beautiful daughter that way.
Are you going to have a second child?
Oh, that's a good question. Who knows? We will let destiny decide.
And how old is she now?
She's 5. She just turned 5 2 weeks ago.
Man, that's someone in the comments says, Facundo, there's 78 of us because there's 78 people listening.
I see only 2. That's why I thought it was a very intimate conversation. Like
it is. It's okay. It is very intimate. It's very intimate. That's
So
the theme of this conversation: intimacy.
yeah, completely. I thought it was going to be about Saxon and about Rich and about Guy and about somebody else that I'm coaching, but it turns to be very, very familiar. No, yeah, it was great, and we are very happy. Greta, we at home we speak German. That's the main language at home. I speak with her alone, and the nanny speaks to her in Spanish, and she speaks French in school. So she's trilingual, and we were a bit scared at the beginning because we thought that it was going to be a bit too much. But she manages, and nowadays at 5, she fluently speaks 3 languages. So
I'm
we are
envious.
very happy.
I think that the 2 greatest gifts you can give your child,
Love.
maybe just yeah. I was gonna on more of a superficial level is and maybe they're both languages. I'll ask you this since you're into music and is a foreign language more than one tongue to speak with and the ability to play a musical instrument. If there were 2 things, I think those are incredible gifts you can give your child because then they can take them for the into the rest of their life, right? But maybe music is just another language. Maybe I should lump that all up.
It's so in my studies when I was studying neurosciences, music, it's been work and processed in a different part of your brain as the language. So language is the most dominant thing. So language comes first, and music goes a bit back in the back. So they have no connection. But I think that music allows for a lot of mathematical development.
And why is that? Tell me that.
Oh,
Because
because
I
you need
also think that the next two best things to give your kid is
to,
math and
yeah.
mastery over language, because I do believe we're all sorcerers here.
Yeah, well, music has a lot of mathematics, so you need to count, how much notes, how much space, and so on. So there's naturally, by hearing, you will be able to, maybe it's not universal, to develop certain capacity to mathematics. And but yeah, I think that languages is great. I think that we parents, if we are able to, which is complicated to understand, show in the world our children different cultures, different type of people, different spaces, different cultures. We travel a lot for our work with Greta a little bit, and we're very glad when we can travel somewhere where she realizes, oh, this is not home, and it's still great, and this food is not what I eat at home, or these people don't behave the same way at home, and it's still valid and it's still great. So I think that's also a very important gift to give to our children. For me,
I totally agree. Do you get to choose whether you have a female, a boy or a girl?
we didn't choose. We did. That's nature. We didn't choose. We just said we know surrogacy is such a complex process that we said, well, we don't want to push it so much. I know you can choose the color of the hair, the color of the eye, whatever.
You can?
You can. Yeah, you do.
Holy shit.
Yeah. The problem is that you need to open the embryo before being transferred. So the embryo is not fully natural. So you have to pinch in to get that genetic information. And there's a slight risk to transfer an embryo that has been already opened. So we decided we were sure it's going to be a boy. We were 100% sure. And then he said, no, it's a girl. So we didn't have a name. We stressed a little bit there. But yeah, there she is.
The naming thing is so weird, isn't it?
Sorry. Yeah.
It's such a trip that you're giving a human being such a powerful stamp for the rest of their life.
Yeah. But we were happy with the name, and she likes it a lot. It's very I don't know, individual. Her name is Greta, and yeah. But funny enough, talking about children, I do feel I coach so many young people that I do feel a fatherly connection to many of them, and it's kind of like I still feel that I'm a father to many at the moment.
Yeah. I thought I would feel that more. Facundo, my whole life I never felt like I was anything. I never wanted to really be anything. I was just happy. I've always just been kind of happy. Even after I had directed a bunch of movies, I never felt like a movie director.
I think that 2003 was your first movie, One of Us.
Oh, Our House?
Our House, yeah. That one, yeah.
Yeah, that was like my first feature film. Yeah. And I made so many movies since then, and I do CrossFit, and I kind of see myself as a CrossFitter. Not kind of, I do, but I never really wanted to be anything. And then I had kids, and I was like, and I didn't have kids till I was 43, but then I was like, holy shit.
I know. I was 39. I know.
I'm a dad, and I really I'm like, I'll take even if I know I'm faking it, I don't care. It's so real to me. I really have embodied the role. Even though I never wanted to be a dad, I never wanted to be a husband. As soon as I saw the kids, those 3 kids, man, I'm their dad, and kind of huge swaths of me vanished.
Yeah, like Forrest Gump.
Like Forrest Gump. Like Forrest Gump. So when Durante brings you on the scene, is there any hazing period? Is there any the other guys in the Power Monkey are like, who the fuck is this guy? He doesn't know what he's doing. Is there
I hope not. If it happened, I never realized. I was so focused on my responsibilities that I didn't. It's a good question. No, I guess not. I mean, no, I wouldn't say so. But anyway, so
we hazed people at HQ.
Sorry?
We hazed people at HQ. Not on purpose. It wasn't like a spoken hazing. But if someone new started working at CrossFit, like we didn't make it easy on you. We tested you.
No. You said it before. I think the great coaches like Dave, like Chris, they know very well what they do. And as a coach, I mean, I said it many times in the past, I think that what makes them greater is that they build this capacity of people to take the legacy. They build spaces for people to develop. And so I don't think that there was any kind of mixed emotion. On the contrary, I think I always felt myself very welcome with them. And I think Power Monkey embraced me very warmly when I was there.
I saw a picture of you and Guy on your Instagram. Tell me, how do you know him, and what is your relationship, like your business and personal?
Okay, so I am coaching very proudly Saxon Panchik now for almost 2 years. Would you
I
believe
had him on the podcast? He's awesome.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he's amazing. He's extraordinary. I'm very, very thankful that he decides to work with me. And we were at the games, and I was coaching him. And after the games, we chatted a little bit with Guy, and he asked me, how do I do this, how I do that, and we are hosting a competition with Rich in the Middle East very soon, the Mayhem Desert Heat. And I told him, if you want to come.
Sorry. What's the date on that on the competition?
13 November 2021.
Okay.
So it's fine.
I want to circle back and talk about that too.
So we talk, and then Guy's dream was to come to Mayhem. He was a massive throwing fan, and he said to me, you know what? With my first coach, we used to talk very often into me paying myself for Mayhem, which is from Brazil is quite expensive, and training there, do my thing, impress a bit everybody. I would forget purposely some things of mine. Come a couple of weeks later, and eventually Rich would say, "Hey, bro, you're so great, stay," and which was not the case. But we were talking about, and he asked me, we talk into working together, and I said that I will be very glad to do so. And I talked to Rich, and I said, Rich, I have this very talented young boy who wants to work with us. And a couple of weeks earlier, Rich was kind enough as to create a program in Mayhem that I'm leading at the moment. So create my own department or whatever program you want to say from Mayhem. And I said, I think it would be great to have him in this program. And Rich said, how Rich, yes, bro, if you think so, go for it. So I called Guy and I said, there's a chance that we can work together if that's what you want. And he said yes. And I admire him because he's 21. He left his girlfriend, his mom, his dad, moved to Cookville. And, in Brazil, he's a king. But in Cookville is another one of many great athletes. So he doesn't have any special treatment at all. He's like, hey, bro, you have to work out. This is what you have to do. That's the way we do it there. And so he did that. And I admire the courage he has to do that, to change his life at that age for becoming a better athlete.
So I'm gonna fill in a couple blanks here. So you are a coach. You're Scott.
I am a coach. I am.
You actually do his programming. Scott, stand over here, pick this thing up, run over here.
Saxon, but not Scott.
Sorry, Saxon. There's only one pan chick to me. I just.
Oh no! I'm so sorry. No, that's the part where you. Scott is great. I worked with him when I was a coach of the Mayhem team that went to London, but we didn't make it to the games last year, and he's great. Saxon is as great as his brother.
Yeah, he's the man. I was just teasing. So, and do you have any other athletes?
Yeah, I have a lot of athletes. Yeah, I have maybe. So now for Rogue, I started. I mean, I don't want to announce it yet because I think that such a great athlete that I'm working with, that he deserves.
There's only 76 people listening.
Yeah. There's another athlete that I have the chance to work with now for 2 months. He's great. I'm very, very proud and thankful for the chance he has given me in allowing me to program for him. He is also going to the Rogue Invitational at the end of the month. So the only thing that stresses me at the moment is how I'm going to deal with have these three guys at the Rogue Invitational together and me acting as a coach.
You should be stressed out about that. That's healthy.
I am.
I'm looking through your Instagram to see who this new athlete is.
Oh, there's no picture yet.
I've made the assumption it's a male. I don't know if that's.
It is a male, and there's no picture. And I tell you why. I don't want to announce it because Guy has a.
Colton Mertens.
No.
Oh, darn it! Darn it!
No. He made it top 10 at the games this year, and because we did such a great announcement for Guy at Mayhem, I don't know if you saw it. Like he comes.
Yes.
I think that this other athlete deserves to have a proper presentation because he's really great. So, I mean, I think he was in your podcast too, not long ago. Yeah, he was there. So I'm giving you too many hints. If you have a producer now, he will be writing down on a column.
If Brian was here, he'd be like, Sevan, you dumb shit, it's this person.
Oh, completely. No, but wait. To tell you how much I do like Brian, he knows from a couple of months now.
Of course.
Yeah, I told Brian, oh no, this is happening. He said, oh bro, it's great. I'm happy for you. So yeah.
I'm happy for you too. I don't even know who it is. You know what's funny? I have these people on the show like Matt O'Keefe, these fucking big shots.
Yeah.
Big shots. And I think I'm so cool for getting Matt O'Keefe. What?
Unlike me, you mean?
Yeah, no, you're a big shot too. But Brian's not here, so you don't work for an example. But so I have these big shots on the show like Matt O'Keefe, and a week will pass, and then I'll be talking to Brian. He's like, so I was talking to Matt O'Keefe, and I'll be like, what do you mean you're talking to Matt O'Keefe? He's like, well, he called me the other day, or I was texting with him. I'm like, this motherfucker. It's my show, and the big shots are contacting Brian. Brian must be a really cool dude. Yeah, oh, really? Someone guessed it's Dukic. Someone guessed it's Lazar Dukic in the comments. Wow.
Who's that person? Who guessed that?
It's their name is the Tony Tone. They just have a fake name. I really like the Dukic brothers are amazing.
Oh, they're amazing. I mean, I met Lazar 2 years ago. He came to Brazil to a competition that I organized, the Belgian Throwdown, which he won easily. And I told him back then, hey, you are great. You need to keep working like this. You have a lot of potential, and he's a great athlete.
I don't say this about a lot of people. I'd like those guys to be my neighbors.
Oh, really?
Oh, I would have so much fun with them. I would fuck with them so much. I would send my kids over there. Those guys are homies. That's like whatever the vibe they're giving. It resonates with my Armenian whatever culture. They're just, when I interviewed them together at the games, how close they sit by each other, just the love they're just kind of like oozing off. And they can take just all the shit I give them. I didn't actually want to interview them. Brian wanted to bring them on the show, and I'm like, I'm too big time for these fucking guys. Wait till they're
no.
Nah, bring them on. And boy, they won my heart.
I know a bit better Lazar, and he's a very, very cool guy.
Someone named Allegra just gave us gave me $9.99. Which is very, very generous of them. And not everyone always, I don't make money every show. So that means you just, I guess I should thank you, Facundo. You just made me $9.99.
Okay, yeah. No, but I'll be glad to have a coffee with you when I see, are you coming to Rogue?
No, I don't, I don't leave this.
Okay. Okay,
so go ahead. Say something, and then I want to ask you about Guy.
What do you want to? I'm lost now. What was the question?
Okay. So Guy, so you meet Guy at the games.
Yeah.
You're there in the capacity as a coach for Saxon. You meet Guy at the games, and you cultivate this relationship. And he basically says, "Hey, I want to be your coach, or I want you to be my coach." And you say, "Okay, great. I also have this program that I've started up. I guess it's under the Mayhem banner. What's the name of it? I saw it in your bio.
It's called Mayhem ID.
Mayhem ID, and you're basically running this thing called Mayhem ID. And so then you go to Rich, who sounds like he's your partner, and you say, "Hey, I want to bring in another athlete into this Mayhem ID." And do all the Mayhem ID athletes move to Cookeville or no?
No. Okay. No. I mean,
just a special circumstance.
Yeah, Guy was there. I mean, Guy was going to stay there until Rogue, and then he's going to travel to the Middle East, and then he's going to go back to Brazil, and then he's going to Wodapalooza. So, but it was a chance, to prepare himself for Rogue to go there, and I think that he's in very good hands if he's training with Rich Froning.
And so now you are the coach of Guy.
Yeah, I mean,
what happens to his old coach?
You should ask him. Maybe
Okay.
I can give a telephone number. No, I think that what I just need to be very respectful to my colleagues, all the coaches. I think that
Right.
that if the chance to work out with Rich Froning and learn from Rich Froning at the barn with Haley, with Luke, with that level of athletes, is presented to you, I guess that is very hard to say no, right? And
especially since it was his goal.
Especially, yes, correct. And it is funny because as a coach, I told him, I do your programming, but when you are with Rich, you do whatever Rich says. Please follow him, learn from him, ask him as much as you want, as much as you can, why, how, whatever you want to ask. And I'm glad to say that I think Rich likes him. So they work together quite well.
What's the guy's name from Canada? He was on my podcast. I really liked him. He trains at Mayhem.
Sam Cornoyer, yeah.
Samuel Cornoyer.
Sam Cornoyer, yeah.
He said in the podcast that Rich was the fittest man alive.
Yes.
Do you think that that's accurate?
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? I think that you're right too. I don't even know, and I believe it.
I don't think that is amazing. I think that he's just talented and he just worked hard. And people say it very often. But in the Open, Rich does the workout of the Open Friday morning only once. There's no seeing the leaderboard, watching videos, this and that, talking to people. Make the setup, does the workout, done. Now let's squat, let's snatch, or whatever that is next. And he has an understanding of the sport. Sevan, I think that whoever is going to be champion again is not just the fittest, is the guy who has the more skills, the more capacity to understand the nuances of our sport. And that is something that Rich had naturally. He didn't have a weightlifting coach, an endurance coach, a nutritionist, a gymnastic coach. There was an understanding in him about the direction of the sport, because Dave programs whatever, and maybe the direction of the sport one year is more into strength, more into endurance, more into whatever that is. I think this year was a bit of everything because we have 15 events, but Rich was very clever foreseeing where would the sport go. And he worked very hard when he decided, to bet on something.
Yeah, it's a remarkable track record and a remarkable legacy. I mean, he's definitely in a category all by himself. When are you going to have to choose between Parliament and coaching?
I left the Parliament 2019.
Oh, I'm sorry if you said that. You're done with that. You're a full-time.
Yeah.
So you're manager, trainer.
No, I'm not manager. I'm not manager.
Sorry, you're a coach and a trainer.
Why would you like to believe that I'm a manager? Because it's something that comes first when you talk about me.
Sweater, glasses,
cold.
4 or 5 languages, nice hair, certain air about you. There's a dignity you present that's like it's the opposite of Eric. I would never say Eric's we'll go full circle to the beginning of the show. I would never say Eric looked like a manager. I'd say that motherfucker looks like a coach. Throw a whistle in his mouth. Maybe you should wear a whistle if you want to be seen as a coach. You don't even have to use it, just as a prop.
Yeah, I would be able to mention some managers that don't have any hair, that they don't speak any language, that they have I left the Parliament when my daughter left daycare. It was too many hours for us being away in the office. So the decision came into which of us will leave the Parliament. And because I already have some experience in the CrossFit world, it was me who decided to leave the Parliament.
Does your husband do CrossFit? Sorry, go ahead.
No, not at all. He doesn't.
Oh.
No. No, he did it once. He did it once when I had my box. He came with a lot of excitement, and he came into a very, very nasty workout. Like 100 box jumps. I don't know, 300 feet walking lunges. All the things that really hurt at the end of the day. And that was enough. He didn't like. And
what's he do for training? What's he do to sweat every day?
Triathlon.
Oh, okay. I give and so he loves Hinshaw.
Because he's just too technical for him. He does it for his fun. Also, he doesn't allow any comment from me on his training. Like we have a biker row and everything down here. Sometimes he goes, I'm going to row. I come down to say something, and the monitor is down, so he's not even looking what he's doing. He's just like, I am here. And I remind me, funny enough you said about that, I remind myself how athletes are. I used to help in a very short period of time Laura Horvath with her endurance. I know she was in the yeah.
Yes. I have a note here about Laura Horvath to ask you a question about her. Go on.
And her coach back then told me, these workouts are very complicated to understand. They are very intellectual. So they're not easy to apply. So we prefer not to do them. Okay. Thank you. I guess. So Chris, my husband, he doesn't like to, he just likes to have fun and so on. So you can shoot the Laura Horvath question now.
Laura Horvath's she's coming to the United States, if I recall, when I interviewed her. She said she was coming to the United States to train with Ben Smith. Sounds like she's going to move into Ben Smith's village, wherever the fuck he lives.
He lives in Richmond. No, somewhere in Virginia. So it's Richmond? I don't know.
Do you know if she's moved already?
Yeah, no. I don't think she's moving. I think she's going to train to prepare for Rogue, and then come back to Europe. That's what I think.
And do you know if she's with Ben yet? Has she moved? Has she traveled out there?
She's there. Yeah, she's there.
I need to get her back on the show. It was quite a bizarre show.
Yeah,
she's quite a character. Yeah, the two of us together. Speaking about being scared, I will be very scared to do it again. But it has to be done. Laura's
great.
Like putting. Go ahead.
Yeah. No. Go. Sorry.
It's like putting peanut butter on a cucumber. I've never done that, but I would do it. But it's gonna be weird.
I think Laura's great. You just need to find a way of she's not Josh. She's not Matt. You need to work differently. But she's great, and she has very interesting things to say.
Very. And I love her bluntness. Basically, I think we started in the first 5 minutes of the podcast. She said, hey, I really didn't want to do this.
I heard the podcast. That's the only one that I heard just listening to you. Yours and Hunter McIntyre.
Are you friends with Hunter?
We actually...
He's a handful too. I really like him too. Just is like basically telling me to fuck off.
But that's what I've heard. I will tell you something. You ask him whether he has a tattoo on his butt.
Yes.
And I shared room with him in Power Monkey. He came Power Monkey, and he was helping my station. And
damn it, Facundo! You know everybody. It is nuts. Not only do you know him, you shared a room with him.
Yeah. I mean, I shared a room with Laura too. I mean, that's fine. We shared
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Fuck Brian. I'm going to ask you to be my co-host. You know everyone. Okay, so tell me about Hunter's tattoo.
Hunter was. I mean, it was before he would get. He got his. I think he got his invite because of his experience in obstacle course. We invited him to help in the Hinshaw station of Power Monkey, which he came. He was great. It was very, very funny. A character on his own, and we had a good time.
And did you see the tattoo?
No, because I am a very bad sleeper. So I generally woke up at 4:35 in the morning. And by the time I was leaving the room, he was still sleeping. And by the time he would come to the room, I was already sleeping. So there was no interaction whatsoever when that happened.
kind of an obvious question, but I just want to hear your response.
Oh.
Is he just truly an amazing physical specimen? Like, did you see him move? Because his accolades are nuts. Like, did you see him run and jump and lift
He's
and?
a great runner for sure. Yeah, he's a great runner. The problem is that if we define it in our CrossFit terms, it will be a different answer maybe, right? Because we look for different stuff. He's in a sport on his own, so I guess that his numbers for his sport are more important, are more relevant to him than his numbers in the CrossFit world. But for sure, he's a great athlete. Maybe not a CrossFitter, but he's a great athlete in his sport.
Who do you think has the greatest air squat you've ever seen?
Air squat.
Yeah.
That's a good question. The cutest or the mechanically best squat?
Let's talk about any air squats that stand out in your mind. I just used the word best, but let's talk about people who have beautiful, like you see them air squat and you're like, oh, can you do that again? Like you actually enjoyed watching them do it. Like you're like, holy shit. Because there's a few for me. Miko Salo had a bizarre one just because of the length of his femur to calf. I don't know what it was. Zach Forrest has like, it doesn't even look like, it's like magical.
I think Danny Spiegel has a great squat, air squat.
Danny Spiegel. I don't know her air squat.
Yeah. Have you ever had Danny Spiegel on the show?
No. I invited her, my producer invited her to be on the show. And she said, I think her response was she has different ethics and morals than myself. So I'm paraphrasing, and therefore she refused to do it. But I would have loved to have had her on, and the invite is still always open. I'm
She's amazing.
All ethics and morals are welcome on my show.
She's amazing. She's simply amazing.
Good. That's good to hear. Okay, I'm gonna go try to find her air squat. Anyone else?
Actually,
and what do you like about her air squat? What do you like about it?
Sorry?
What do you like about her air squat?
Everything, when she moves squatting, she's beautiful. I mean, the legs, everything. And I remember that because we were in Power Monkey. She came there.
Yeah.
We did not share bedrooms though, just for your info. But she used to dry my hair in Power Monkey, and there was a workout where we're doing air squats, which is not something that we do very often in workouts, unlikely. And I remember her doing that, and she looked beautiful. So that's what I ventured to say that. Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's any women. All like James Hobart has an amazing air squat.
Well, he better.
Yeah, Nicole Carroll has a pretty amazing air squat. Of all the women I saw. Are you friends with Nicole Carroll?
Hello, how are you? Good job. Congrats. Yeah.
You guys would be very good friends.
I wish. I'm a big fan of her.
Yes. If I was a professional matchmaker, I would set you guys up as friends. I would be like, okay, Facundo,
Okay.
Nicole,
You have my telephone.
Can I just forward her your contact information?
Yeah, you may.
Hey, Nicole, I don't have much conversation with Nicole these days, but I think I could still text her. A human being that I have some of the highest admiration for. When I see these lists, these in magazines that say like the 100 most influential people in the history of fitness or in sport, or the 100 most influential women ever. I'm always surprised that she's not at the top of these lists, whether they're mixed sex or about fitness, because what she does is she has no peer. She really has no peer.
I agree with you. I mean, I think that she prefers a bit of a low profile. I think that she's not a woman that wants to be exposed and so on. But yeah, I mean that from that generation, Nicole and Annie Sakamoto have given in our community so much, and they're still role models and pillars. I think that the game should create a Sakamoto Award. Still an athlete, an influencer, a great coach. All of that. Annie's, and I think of CrossFit women. Maybe Annie Sakamoto might be the first one that comes to head. Like, this woman has been there forever, and she had, find a way of renewing herself and yeah.
Just now when you mentioned her name, I'm like, oh, I need to have Annie on the podcast. And I've had that thought probably like 20 times. But you know what? I'm kind of scared.
Why? Anne Sakamoto?
Yeah.
She's the sweetest person I know, maybe.
I know. She lives there just down the street from me. My mom trains at her gym. I don't know why I don't know why. It's probably I'm just intimidated by her.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
I understand that.
intimidated more by women than I am by men usually. But she's amazing. Maybe it's just like my huge admiration for her and her contribution.
Yeah, yeah. So if you have to have a podcast and replace Matt and Josh for two female athletes, who would you go for?
Danny Spiegel and oh boy, that's a good Danny Spiegel and Katrin Davids-Doder. That's who I would pick.
Okay.
Those two. That would be an amazing podcast.
Yeah, for sure.
I would want them to before we started. I would want them to commit to like 20 episodes, regardless of how bad they are.
Yeah.
And I would be full in. That would be something very special. That would be. I think the fans would love that. Does Facundo coach Sasha Neves from Argentina? Is she a Mayhem athlete? That's one of the guests.
Sasha is a Mayhem athlete. I met her earlier this year when I went to Argentina, and she as a junior, and she and her coach, introduced themselves, and also their dream was to come to Mayhem to work out, and then she did that. She came to Mayhem, but since I'm not in Mayhem, one of our other coaches, Jake, who is the director of programming, is taking care of her program at the moment, but she's there. I don't coach her at the moment, no.
There's another comment here. It says Facundo and Laura Horvat are polar opposite when it comes to conversational styles. I love them both, though. I don't know, Amy. I don't want to argue with you, but I think Facundo came in a little hot. Like he when the podcast started, he came in holding his sword. Like, I don't want to say it was out of the sheath, but he was ready.
But Laura, she lived in my house for a couple of weeks in Brussels when she finished second at the games, and she's a very fun girl to be around with. I mean, but yeah, as you know, in competition, everybody's different, and they are focused on their task.
This is just purely for gossip. I want to know, have you ever known Laura Horvat to have a significant other? Speaking of intimacy, does she have any boyfriends or girlfriends or anything like that?
At the moment, I don't think she does.
Yeah, she told me basically in the podcast that's not even like on her radar at all.
Yeah, I think she works so hard that her only mission is to be at the highest of the podium of the games, and I think she doesn't. I have not a lot of contact with her. We took the same flight coming back from Madison after the games, and yeah.
Is Tia beatable?
No.
Shit.
No.
I wish I could argue with you.
No, but we lived together with Tia for 10 days before she was the fittest on earth. 2016, we did I don't know if you remember this episode of the games, Road to the Games, Cookville camp or something like that, where it was Camille and Catherine and Sarah, everybody.
Yes.
And so I was there in Cookville, and she was very different of what she's now as an athlete. And when I see her at the games, and I want to think that we are very good friends, I think that she's the closest of all the athletes to have the perfect key, in understanding the games, how to train for them, how to win. All of the other athletes that I know, they are still trying to find the perfect log. I think that and it's funny because if you see her at the games, she doesn't even seem stressed. She seems like she's really under control of whatever is happening. Even there are events that they are not great for her because they are. She's still under control, and I think that's a great skill.
Yeah, I am happy for Laura in the same way I'm sad for someone like Matt, and the fact that Matt never got to beat Rich. He had an opportunity and he didn't do it. But Laura Horvat has the opportunity to beat Tia, and it's almost, I mean, easy for me to say as a fan, but it's almost better to take second trying to beat the greatest in the world than to be the greatest in the world when the true greatest isn't there. I mean, it's really
Yeah,
I speak to all the female athletes out there, and who the fuck am I? But don't squander this opportunity. As much
yeah,
as you fucking can't stand Tia being there, it's the greatest opportunity you're ever going to have in life. This mountain will not be there forever. This isn't like Mount Everest and you can be like, okay, I'll climb it next week. There'll be a time when Tia's gone and you won't get to test yourself anymore. That mountain will be gone.
yeah.
So use her, leverage that as motivation, you know?
Yeah, I think so too. But I think that there are, I think that there are a lot of young athletes. I mean, Haley Adams, Mel O'Brien, Emma Carey. You know, it's just when is the transition going to happen now? When is like Tia going to step down, and are the veterans going to go back to it? Like Laura, she's been there for a while, and as great as she is, Annie, Catherine, Sarah, or is the new generation, the Haley Adams, the Mel O'Briens, the Emma Careys are going to take over because they are a dangerous threat for everybody else.
I just right when you said that, I just text. I hope that wasn't too rude. I just text Matt Souza, the producer, and said, please get Emma Carey on the show.
Yeah, it's not rude. Don't worry.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, I think Tia, it's at the moment I humbly believe that she's unbeatable. She's not my athlete, but I think she's unbeatable.
How cool was it that she let us all know at the end of the games that she's coming back? I thought that was really generous.
Yeah, I talked to Shane about that, and for his answer, it was clear to me that she was coming back to it. But you know, we'll see. We'll see what the new year brings.
Why? Do you know something?
Oh, no, not at all. The format, I mean, Dave will keep the same format. The games are going to be the same. You know,
who knows? White people might not even be allowed to compete anymore.
You think so?
No, I don't think that, but anything's possible. I don't want to close the door on that. I'm any type of craziness.
Are you fishing from some controversy here?
No, we're at the end of the show. No one will hear this part. That's the kind of stuff that's the kind of stuff I probably wouldn't say on the Matt and Josh podcast.
Okay. No, I think that it's going to mean 2021 was maybe for me, my favorite games. It was amazing. It was really extraordinary. The programming was great. Everything went, I mean, yeah. But I'm very much looking forward for the Rock Invitational and see what these athletes have been doing off season.
And Guy can win it, huh?
There are many athletes who can win it. Saxon can win it. Guy can win it. You know.
Do you think the era of Vellner and Fikowski is over?
No, I wouldn't say that.
No.
How many times have we said the era of Annie is over? She goes back and said, I'm going, guys, I'm here, stronger than ever, and I just managed to have a kid. So I would never venture to say, and also Pat, who's there tomorrow, I understand, and Fikowski, they are very clever athletes. So no, I will never venture to say that. And I would never venture to say that if Rich Froning wouldn't come back individual, he would win the games.
I'm glad you brought up Annie. Another like the same way with Rich, kind of like not kind of in a whole category of her own. Like there's too much. She's done too much.
Yeah. But she's clever. No, she knows very well what to do and how to do. I mean, she makes mistakes here and there as everybody else, like everybody else. But she's a great athlete. I mean, she climbs. She starts with a very, very bad first day, and then little by little, here I am.
Finally, before I let you go here, tell me about this desert competition. Where can I watch it? Do I want to watch it? Is this the first year? Will there be a second one? Tell me, is Rich going?
Yeah, I think you will want to watch it. I think that it's a great competition. So it's in the Middle East. It's in Ras Al Khaimah, which is another emirate 1 hour north of Dubai. And it's a rather small competition. We have a field of 20 male athletes and 15 female athletes. The male athletes we have, Sam Conayer, Elliot Simmons, very many national champions, game athletes from that area. And it's going to be broadcasted on the Mayhem YouTube channel. And I'm going there. Rich is going there. Many of the people of the Mayhem family were going there, and it's a first edition. It's in a very remote place in the world, beautiful place. In the Middle East, Dubai is like a very cosmopolitan city. Ras Al Khaimah is very adventurous, like a lot of mountains, sea, beaches, and we are very happy to have the chance to do our first competition there.
It's invitation only?
No. There was a qualifier. And we had some wild cards that we invited people at the very beginning, so in order to avoid any problems, but any hard feelings, I said. But we have a very good reaction. And in the morning we have the RX category, which is more like made for local people, and in the afternoon the international part of the competition, which is going to be broadcasted with your friend. Yeah.
Are you Haley Adams' coach?
No, I wish. No. Haley, I wish. No. Haley's coached by Rich, and programmed by Rich, let's say, and her coach is Tasha Prexeves, which at this case, when I coach Rich, I coach Rich many times, but I'm not the coach who says, oh, Rich, this is the warm-up. Do 3 burpees, 10 calories raw, and 20. No, these people know what to do. Our job with Tasha, which is an amazing person, is to provide athletes whatever they need in competition for them to, concentrate in performance and nothing else.
Are you going to move to the United States?
No.
How come?
Because my family's here and I'm fine here, but I'm going to the States once a month.
Wow. What airline do you fly?
Which is Brussels or Chicago, Nashville.
Wow. Cookville to Brussels. I wonder if there's anyone else in the world who does that.
I don't think so.
The only one.
But it's from his home. It became home. Cookville. I'm at home, and Rich says, "I'm going to do something. Take care of the children." So I have 3 children on my own. So it's great. I'm very thankful to have the chance to do what I'm doing at the moment.
Facundo, I would like to let you know that you can come on the show anytime you want. If you had a good time and you ever want to just come back on, I give you an open invitation. I don't think I've ever said that to anyone in 164 shows. I've said I'd like to have someone on, but like I really, the same way maybe Rich says that his front door is open, my podcast is always open. You want to talk about anything? You want to tell me how great I am? You want to chastise me? You want to promote something of your own?
Okay, I'm very thankful. I always been a fan of you, and your behind the scenes were a highlight on the year when that came, and was a great time. So as we agree, I'm going to text you when my daughter falls or my dog has something, a picture, because it's what's happening here now. I had a great time. I thought we were going to be feisty to each other, but it was nice that you set the tone, same as with Josh and Matt. You opened with intimacy. I had a sword, as you said, and you see, you were able to set the tone for the rest of the podcast.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you very much.